Durham, New Hampshire. It's right next to my old stomping grounds of Portsmouth.
Yeah, that's right. Pretty much the next town up Route 4 from Portsmouth. Okay, we're going to make a left onto Route 108.
All right, got it.
And our destination is right up there on the left.
Where?
Right there.
Okay. Yeah, the Three Chimneys Inn and Sawyer Tavern. Well, this place looks charming. Looks old, too.
It's definitely old. The oldest part of this building dates back to 1649.
Yeah, that's pretty old, even by New England standards.
Yeah, right? So what started as a private residence eventually became a tavern and then an inn. And today, almost 4 centuries later, it's haunted. Hello, I'm Jeff Belanger.
And I'm Ray Auger. Welcome to episode 360 of the New England Legends podcast. We've been at this 7 years today, if you're keeping score. Jeff, happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary, Ray. 7 years. Not bad.
That's 7 years of ghosts, monsters, roadside oddities, eccentrics, aliens, and they're just plain weird. Most of our story leads come from you, so please reach out to us anytime through our website. We love hearing from you. Our website is also the place where you can find dates for Jeff's fall story tour, dates to see my band, the Pub Kings, and everything else we have going on.
We'll explore the ghosts of the Three Chimneys Inn right after this word from our sponsor.
Now, in our experience, when a building dates back almost 4 centuries, there's bound to be a ghost or two knocking around.
Yeah, that's true. Buildings this old have seen a lot of history. Now, the earliest section was built just a couple of decades after the Pilgrims landed at Plymouth Rock. I love to imagine the windows of a building, almost like eyes looking outward to the world. This house saw an American Revolution, a Civil War, the first electricity, the first automobile, airplane, rocket, the internet, and the launch of the New England Legends podcast 7 years ago on a night just like this one.
All great moments in history for sure.
Right?
So the main house is a 2-story building. It's yellow with white trim, and there's indeed 3 chimneys on the top.
Right.
But it wasn't always called the Three Chimneys Inn.
No, that's a relatively new name, only in the last couple of decades.
Now, way back in 1649, a man named Valentine Hill built his home here just north of Oyster River, where he had a sawmill. In 1659, Valentine's daughter Hannah got married at the age of 20, but there's no mention of her again. We suspect she may have died young here. In 1699, Valentine's son, Nathaniel Hill, added the second story to the house. The building already had a feature called Indian shutters, which was a defense mechanism used during Indian raids. One happened here in 1694 and took out some neighboring houses. But this house survived.
Now, as time passes, the rest of the town is growing too. In the 1700s, the home passed into the Woodman family, who were related to the Hills by marriage. And by 1795, a chunk of the property was deeded to the town of Durham to be used as a cemetery, which explains why it's right next door to a small boneyard.
Which only adds a little extra to the haunting reputation, of course.
Of course. Now, by the 1800s, George Frost, that's Frost with 2 Fs, which is an old-fashioned way to spell it, bought the property and had the building fixed up into a Federalist style, turning it into a tavern and inn. Frost also had the hand-dug well in the front of the property built. It's 12 feet across and 40 feet deep. The Frost sisters took over the property by the 1900s and built extensive and lush gardens, turning it into the grand estate that it is today.
Back in the 1600s, 1700s, and 1800s, even the early 1900s, people often died in their homes, or at the very least, wakes and funerals were held in their home. So we have no doubt a few people likely passed away inside and held funerals here.
That's true. People come and people go. It's the natural order of things. But sometimes a plague comes along and rattles us like we've never been rattled before. So let's head back to the year 1909 and check out this historic and haunted inn.
It's late October of 1909 here in Durham, New Hampshire. The Chinese Revolution is happening, but that's a world away from here. The airplane is becoming a more common sight in the skies. But here in Durham, people are scared.
They're scared because there's a sickness going around.
Is it consumption?
So consumption is kind of an ongoing issue. It has been for a long time, and that's something folks around here are used to. But this one is new. It's typhoid.
Typhoid. Oh, man, that sounds bad.
It is bad. Typhoid is a bacteria that affects the intestines and can get into the bloodstream. Then it can cause fever, and it's often lethal. The bacteria is caused by Salmonella typhi, and it gets into the system through contaminated food and water. Now, when wastewater runs into drinking water, communities can have a very big problem.
Now, right now, Durham has a very big problem because people are getting sick. And here at the Frost homestead, Anna Pepperell Frost is sick.
The girl's feverish. She's having difficulty holding down food or even water. Typhoid moves through you relatively slowly. It infects different parts of your body, which only makes your condition worse and worse.
As days pass, Anna's siblings and neighbors are growing despondent. It's November 26th when Anna Frost takes her last breath.
The wake and funeral service are held in the Frost Homestead House. The Reverend Telesphore Tazen presides over the service.
After the service, Anna Frost is buried in Pine Hill Cemetery in nearby Dover, New Hampshire.
Meanwhile, back in Durham, typhoid continues to spread through town. It's 1912. The town of Durham closes off the Frost family well in front of their property to try and stop the spread of typhoid. Other wells are soon also capped off. People are scared and they're getting desperate.
Typhoid has taken a heavy toll on the community. So many people have been affected. When a plague hits like this, you can't help but wonder if you're cursed, if God is punishing you, or maybe this is the end for everyone. When will it stop?
More years pass, and the plague of typhoid finally moves along, but not before leaving a scar on the Frost homestead and the surrounding community of Durham. And that brings us back to today.
After the 19-teens, the home moved through various families and then mostly fell into disrepair until eventually it was revitalized starting in 1987. Restoration was completed in 1997. Today it's the Three Chimneys Inn, the Frost Sawyer Tavern, and the Maples. It's a tavern, restaurant, and inn.
And it's a pretty spot too. A spot they say is haunted. Should we head inside?
Wow. I know we're back in present day, but stepping into the tavern feels like a time warp back to the late 1600s.
Yeah, for sure.
There's great woodwork in here. It looks like the bar and parts of some of the walls were hand-cut on an old sawmill. There's a gorgeous fireplace over on that side of the room.
And hey, those beer taps look modern enough. 2 beers, please.
Cheers.
Cheers. Let's head over to the main house and see the inn.
Wow, the main house is also beautiful. They've clearly done an incredible job restoring this building.
And they claim there's still a few wood beams in the house that date all the way back to the original 1649.
And this place is haunted?
Yeah, that's what they say. Now, guests have reported hearing furniture moving around empty guest rooms. One guest heard an older woman whisper in her ear in one of the guest rooms. And sometimes employees get locked inside some of the rooms. Doors will open and close on their own, and items go missing only to turn up later in peculiar places.
Now, who do you think the ghost is?
So some claim it's the ghost of Hannah Hill, the daughter of the original owner. Others think maybe it's Anna Pepperell Frost, whose funeral was held here. We can't say for certain. I mean, with close to 4 centuries of history, it's difficult to identify everything that bumps in the night. But we do know these buildings have seen quite a lot over the centuries. And when you step inside, it is like a time warp. Your body and mind go to a place long ago, to a simpler time, but one not terribly different than right now. We have a lot of the same struggles, just different technology.
Now, we've said it before. The simplest definition of a ghost is a connection. It's a connection to our past in a particular place. The more the place connects us to the past, the more likely we are to see or experience a ghost. With so much history, there's bound to be tragedies like plagues and untimely deaths. And that will always haunt us.
That it will. And that takes us to After the Legend, where we dive deeper into this week's story and sometimes veer off course.
After the Legend is brought to you by our Patreon patrons. We'd love for you to join our Patreon patrons because they're the backbone of everything we do. They help us out financially with our hosting and production costs, marketing, travel, and everything else it takes to bring you 2 stories each week. They get early ad-free access to new episodes. They get bonus episodes and content that no one else gets to hear. They get access to our entire archives of episodes. They get discounts on tickets and merchandise. And all that for just $3 per month. To sign up and help the cause, head over to patreon.com/New England Legends.
And to see some pictures of the Frost Tavern and the Three Chimneys Inn, click on the link in the episode description or go to our website and click on episode 360. 7 years.
That's kind of crazy.
I know.
7 years, I was young. I still felt young, or maybe I should say. I still felt young. 7 years later, not feeling so young anymore. Youthful. I'm feeling youthful. Sure. I should say that.
7 years is definitely a thing.
It is.
That's a chunk of time.
Well, isn't that when your body changes? Like your body changes every 7 years?
Every 7 years, yeah.
Yeah. And also you get that 7-year itch, which I don't have.
We have aches. We have aches now.
That 7-year itch, I think they have a cream for now, which is nice.
Yeah, it is. It is. You got to keep up with it every day too.
7 years is definitely a number. It's a thing.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
Yeah.
So
We're still going strong.
2 kids with a crazy dream, and now look at us.
Well, we have our first live show coming up after 7 years of doing this.
I know.
And maybe that'll turn into something. That's
be nice. Exciting. Yeah, very excited. 8 tickets left as of this recording, which by the time you hear it might be 0. I don't know.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Could be because I put a post out today.
Yeah, so we'll see. But anyway, so typhoid was bad.
Not pretty, right?
No. Abraham Lincoln's son died of a typhoid-like disease.
Is that the one Mary couldn't get over?
Yeah.
And he haunts the White House.
That's
supposedly.
Allegedly, yeah. One of the ghosts of the White House. But there is a story related to one of our very favorite subjects. I watched this special once about how it was on cholera, which is not too different from typhoid. Cholera also can affect drinking water and things like that. And there was in London specifically, you have so many people living close to each other, and they're literally dumping their wastewater, and it follows gravity to the lowest point and often into the river, the Thames.
Right.
And then that's the drinking water. It's an absolute recipe for disaster.
Sure.
So people are getting cholera all over the city. And what this guy did, Jon Snow, no relation to the Game of Thrones, no relation. He started to notice that in some neighborhoods, people weren't getting as sick as they were in others. And so he took a map of London and started putting little X's where people were getting sick. And then he would notice there were these little islands of where people were not getting sick. And you know what was in the middle of those islands, Ray?
What's that?
Breweries.
Oh.
People, they were boiling the water to make the beer. And the locals that lived right around it were drinking more beer than water. And they were safe. I'm not sure where the moral is, but I'm kind of like, well,
drink more beer.
Drink more beer and you'll be okay. You'll avoid cholera. You'll avoid typhoid.
Yeah. Plus, it has a lot of natural ingredients in it.
They're all natural ingredients.
Right?
Yeah, yeast and malt and hops. Yeah. So anyway, if we haven't sung the praises of beer enough on this podcast, here's one more reason that it'll keep you safe. But yeah,
surprised we don't have a beer sponsor at this point.
Disappointed, frankly. 1854 was when Jon Snow did that pioneering work where he just looked at maps and said, "Huh," and then they started to figure out. After 1854, they were like, "We should keep wastewater and drinking water separate." Stuff you just think you were born knowing.
And they're like, yeah, but regular water has no flavor. That's boring.
Right. This is what we do. We don't have Gatorade yet, so we're going to do this. But no. So when typhoid hit, you don't know where it's coming from, so you just start closing wells.
Yeah.
You start to we're okay. 5 people drink from this well and they got sick. Well, that can't. Probably not good. Close it off.
Oh, this happened in Walking Dead, by the way. Same thing. They were closing off wells because the water was contaminated.
Right. Yeah. And that's, it's so frightening, like how vulnerable we are. Water we need it.
Yeah.
We need it.
We don't know where it comes from. Even our own pipes. I mean, you drink out of the faucet and you're thinking, well, the town says the water's good.
Do you ever read the report they send you once a year?
No, I don't.
Because it'll say like, oh, there's only this much fecal matter. And I'm like,
only this much.
Shouldn't that be 0?
Right.
Like
even a small percentage, I'm not.
But it's never 0.
Yeah, we have a filter upstairs and we would drink right out of the filter.
We do too.
But I know some people that do drink out of the faucet. Oh, it's just water. It's clean.
Your dog. Yeah, right out of the hose.
Yeah. I even give my dog filtered water. Aww. That's how much I love my dog.
I hear you. I give my bird filtered water.
Nice.
No, but that's but it's a huge thing. We will die without water quickly.
Sure.
You only make it a couple days.
Yep.
Right, without water.
Right.
And if the water's contaminated, it's even worse. You might only make it hours.
Yeah.
So it's a scary time. And this we've done stories of many plagues, usually consumption,
right?
Usually tuberculosis,
yeah, vampires.
But typhoid too was another one, and every time I keep thinking, of course, you relate it to COVID, what we all went through, and thinking like, oh yeah, we were just breathing on each other,
right?
And that's what was getting everybody sick. My memories of the COVID time, which was only a few years ago, I have like 2 memories of a year of my life.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. I think we blanked it out, blanked it out, blocked it out. Even that.
Yeah, we did. It's gone. It's just gone.
I remember the beginning of COVID when things were fun.
Yeah.
Oh, we got a couple weeks off of work. We got a couple weeks.
Yeah.
We'll do some family stuff.
Like a snow day.
Arts and crafts.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You don't dress up. And
Right.
then after that, it's all of a sudden it's 2023 and things are getting normal.
You know why we blacked it out?
Why?
Because we were in a drunken blackout.
Oh, that's true too. Oh my gosh.
We were drinking so much.
Yeah.
We were just like, no wonder I don't remember everything. I
Yeah.
didn't want to.
It would be nice to have another reason to drink like that because we've stopped.
Tuesday?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But it would be a
We're
Tuesday
alive.
night.
We made it.
You'd wake up, you'd have a beer at 9 a.m. What
Yeah.
else you got to do?
I was
It's COVID time.
I was working on a big project once. We were trying to sell to somebody, and it was had it gone, it was going to be really great. And we knew we were going to get the answer by 5 o'clock that day. And one of my buddies that was working on it with me, he said, "I'm going to the bar at 4, and I'm going to start drinking because drinking is the one thing you can keep doing, whether it's good news or bad news."
Yeah, you can either wallow in your sorrow or celebrate.
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
yeah, that's great.
Like, that's just smart.
Yeah.
Smart.
Smart living.
And that's what he did. So not to ruin the story, but he drank to drown his sorrows that night.
I'm sorry.
We got that's okay. Hey, you got to try. Right?
Yeah, but at least we can celebrate 7 years. That's worth celebrating.
That, and you said, I wish we had a reason to drink. We made
do.
it 7 years, and not without you. So thank you for listening. I can't tell you enough about how many of the story leads come from people like you know, that are listening and say like, oh, I know a weird one. Write to us, please. I know we can't respond to every single email, but they get saved, and always skimming through them, looking for story ideas. Sometimes they're great stories, but I just kind of don't know what to do with it.
I think we do. We just have to get off our butts and do it. Just shorter episodes. That's all.
Or
I've thought of doing that.
Do a couple in
I
one.
mean, that could be my thing.
Sure.
Is just a 5-minute interview with the person, conversation. Tell me the quick story. That sounds scary. See ya. Click. That's it. We'll
There
share
you go.
little clips.
Well, as someone astute pointed out, they said, these From the Vaults you guys are doing every Monday, you'll mathematically run out.
I know. We're going to need something else.
They're right. And I said, that's fine. And that's great. Right now, we did it as a way to sort of like, reissue some of these great old stories, but also,
Well, I think we'll do the vault with the original commentary. The commentary will be on the commentary. So we'll just have to double up.
just keep doubling up.
Yes, the vault now will be us commenting on our comments.
I'm not even worried. Like, we'll come up with something else. We'll come up with like another thing, and we'll take it in another direction. And that's what's
an
been
all
cool
sports
about it.
show, perhaps.
That's one thing. I don't think we have a lot of sports listeners, but
Probably not. I've always wanted to do something where we just focus on famous people from New England. And maybe just tell their story, just like it doesn't even have to be a back and forth.
Matt Damon, call us.
I know, right? If we could
Affleck.
interview these people, even better.
That'd be amazing.
The Instigators, by the way, great movie. Just came out on
did it?
Apple Plus. Ben Affleck, I mean, he produced it, but Casey Affleck and Matt Damon.
Oh, right.
Based in Boston. Fantastic movie.
I saw a thing where there was a screening of it. I saw like a reel on Instagram.
Yeah.
There was a screening of it, and all of a sudden, like, folks, we have someone here who would like to talk to you.
That's cool.
And then Casey and Ben walked in.
Yeah.
And, they were in Boston, and everyone's like,
that's fun.
So, they're Boston guys.
Fun movie for all you New Englanders.
Or non.
Or not. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Sure.
But it plays well for us.
Yeah, for sure. But anyway, so Durham, New Hampshire, another plague, not just consumption, not just tuberculosis. We also have typhoid.
And the Instigators.
Right.
Please get even more involved with us. It starts by subscribing to our podcast for free wherever you get your podcasts. Then post a review for us. That helps a lot. You can also join our New England Legends Facebook group, download our free New England Legends app in your app store. It's one of the many ways we can stay connected and swap great stories with each other.
We'd like to thank our sponsors. Thank you to our Patreon patrons, and our theme music's by John Judd.
Until next time, remember,
The Bazaar is closer than you think.